Welcome to this video. Now I'd like to talk about making a macro that is triggered by a timer. A timer could be running on a certain time every day. It could be running on a certain day at a certain time. It could also be triggered by the sunrise and the sunset using the built-in astronomical clock of the BeoLink gateway. The astronomical clock needs to be set up, and I've shown that how to do that in a previous video called First Time Setup. So let me show you how to make this. I'll create a new macro. I can do it up here in the global because it will not belong to any certain zone. It will just like be a good morning scene that runs whenever the sun is rising. So I'll call it morning. Then we have the event and the commands. The event is what triggers this macro. The commands is what happens when the macro is triggered. So I'll add an event. In order to use the timer, I'll go to System. There's the clock. It's already selected by default. I can choose a month, any day, or any day of the week. I can set a certain exact date that this event will run, but I can just say it happens every Monday. But I will just say for this one, it is every day of the week. So I can down here decide, should it be an absolute clock relative to sunrise or relative to sunset. So if it's an absolute clock, I could say this should happen every day at 7:10, add. And then you'll see that when the clock is 7:10, any day of the week, then it will trigger these commands down here. For this example, I will use the sunrise instead. So I'll choose here relative to sunrise. So what I write here is, there's also a little help text comes over when you mouse over. It says minutes before, you'll put a minus in front of it. Minutes after, you could just write the number. So if I want it to happen 20 minutes before sunrise, I'll write -20. I'll press apply. So BSR means before sunrise, -20. For this macro, I wanted to switch on my Avant TV in the living room, as well as raise my shades in the living room. So the first thing I'll do is to switch on the TV. I will decide which room, the living room. The resource in the living room will be my Avant TV, the AV renderer. It will be, in this case, a Beo Remote 1 source selection, because I'm selecting a source on my Avant. Is it a link source? In this case, it is not. It is a local source on the actual television in the living room, so it's false. The source will be net radio. I'll add it. Next thing I'll do is that I will raise the shades. So again, I'll choose which resource, my shade 1. I want my shade to raise. I'll add. I had another shade added in there, so I'll just do the same thing for my shade 2, raise. And then this is it. You have programmed a morning trigger to happen every day. 20 minutes before sunrise, it switches on the Avant in the living room and it raises the shades. Simple as that. So this is a super simple way to use the timer of the BeoLink gateway and the astronomical clock to create some events to happen in the gateway.